Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition of Titan Talk. Hope everyone is having a great Wednesday. Hope everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend. I'm Isaiah. Kilgun with me, and Clumsy is here because today it's time for Open Beta 11. We're going to be going over all the stuff. Oh, man, Clumsy, you're stroking like my head. Oh, that's a clip. But yeah, we're going over Open Beta 11 today.
We're not here to recap the Indy 500.
No, we're not. Oh. Yeah, I'm sure you have some highlights that day.
I don't want to take us on a 20-minute detour. We have a lot of things to talk about today, so probably best that we just get straight into it.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty packed show. We got, of course, Scylla, the new god. We've got lots of new skins, new wandering market, 2 new aspects that we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be talking about God and item balance too. Probably won't have a whole lot of time for a Q&A towards the end, but we're going to hop right into it. And shall we start with the star of the show, Scylla? Clumsy, what's going on with Scylla in SMITE 2?
Sweet. So yeah, we talked about her. I think we spoiled some of the stuff.
Just a little bit because she was in a flash test.
A bit last time, yeah. But yeah, we've been cooking with Scylla. We think she's feeling better than ever in SMITE 2. The flash test went honestly really well. I think even during that time, I was going into all these different channels. I'm just like, guys, like it's a flash test. There's still temp effect stuff going on. So there's like something about these effects don't look right. It's like, give us a second and we'll get there. But she's feeling better than ever, and she's looking really good. And yeah, did you want to go through all the different?
Yeah, I will bring up the handy dandy desktop here. Give me a second to. Sweet. Make sure that we've got everything here.
Beautiful.
There she is. Let me make sure that I have the desktop unmuted, so we should have audio now. I can hear Scylla. Sweet. So, of course, Scylla, the effects are looking really good here. So, Clumsy, you want to just start off with the passive. For the folks who didn't have a chance to tune into that last show or didn't tune in or hop in that flash test, let's talk about Scylla and her in SMITE 2.
Absolutely. So just making sure I have my notes here ready so I don't miss anything. But yeah, there's Scylla, to reiterate what we talked about last time, I'm going to try not to use my left hand so I just don't keep blocking Isaiah. Let me move this over here. We took the time to make sure that Scylla in SMITE 2, didn't just get kind of a +1 feeling on everything, but she also got a little bit of a shift on certain parts where we could make sure that she feels a little bit more specialized, there's that word again, in what she brings into the game. And that being said, we know Scylla's super beloved, so we didn't want to go crazy there. We just want to make sure that she feels really good and as best as she can be in SMITE 2. Yeah. So, a few things. One, the passive. Previously on the third ability, Sentinel, she actually used to gain mana regen, and that was MP5 in SMITE 1 or MP1 in SMITE 2. But that's actually been moved over from the ranking of the ability 3 to quick learner instead. So anytime you get a max ability, you'll be getting that mana regen on Scylla as well. So that'll be there. Kind of small thing there. There's also a lot of different, as you can see here, there's a lot of different effects that each ability gains when they reach max rank. First ability, Sikkim, nothing changes at all because it feels great and everything is perfect about it. So this is going to be working the exact same way it did before, where you send out the 2 hounds. It does the root, it cripples, and at max rank, it does that in not quite an AoE, but it technically hits 2 gods nearby, or 2 enemies nearby, in an area around her, but it's not around the enemy that got hit. So it's not going to apply to everyone. I just wanted to clarify that for those who don't know Scylla very well. But going on to the second ability, Crush, is where we start seeing a little bit more of that change. So generally, it works pretty similar, but at max rank now, enemies in the area will have their protections reduced as usual, and that's slow, but it'll persist after the refire.
Correct. Yeah.
So once you use it, you'll actually see that it has the timer elements, all that, but then the field actually lingers in just a more subtle state to indicate that the debuff effects are still there.
Yeah.
So
it also slows.
Yes, and it also slows. So it's got the slow effect and the magic protection debuff effect while that area still persists. Now, they're obviously within... Actually, the flash test didn't mention it so much, but we internally in the devs have kind of just been making sure we have this little caveat of like, we know this will probably feel pretty good because there is actually a trade-off here. In SMITE 1 at max rank, the debuff effect would actually linger on the enemies that were hit for 1 second. So while before it was more of like a targeted thing on the enemies, now it's actually more of a zoning tool.
Okay, cool.
That being said, because it has the capability of lingering for a very long period of time, we are very well aware that we are ready to reduce the effects of that field based on the max rank effect if that starts to feel too oppressive. So while we don't want to nerf it immediately, we want people to play around with it. It's the first thing that we have on our minds.
Yeah, the slow field can be pretty strong in fights, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, going to the third ability, Sentinel. So Sentinel got a little bit of a +1 in the fact that now it's always going to be doing the line of sight vision, because it creates kind of like a deployable vision area around it, like a ward. but it'll still have that scaling vision radius, as you can see there, from 6 meters to 12.8 meters. So you are gaining a benefit by ranking up for the vision radius. But also, there's a new effect. You can see Sentinel has damage and damage scaling. What's that all about? Well, now when Scylla uses the Sentinel and specifically teleports to it, she'll gain a buff for a little bit of time, and that'll let her next basic attack do a little bit of extra bonus damage. And the max rank, because that's happening all the time. At max rank, if you hit an enemy god with that empowered buff, she'll actually get a reset, a few seconds flat cooldown reset on her abilities that are on cooldown.
Yep, I saw the crush reset right there.
Yeah, exactly. So a little bit more excitement there. And I know there were some talks in the flash test, but I did mention this before, and I want to mention it again. The goal is for her to gain the buff when she uses it aggressively, when she does the teleport. Because I wanted you to make sure that she's kind of using this new damage effect all the time when she's being aggressive. Sorry, aggressively and not all the time.
Yes.
So if you just send that Sentinel out there, you're not getting a damage buff effect just for being in the current area. You're not getting it for being defensive. You're only getting it if you're actually being offensive.
And it was really only a defensive tool in Smite 1.
Exactly.
You always just use it to run away.
Right,
and you know, a lot of times you'd like throw out your Sentinel and then you'd run up and you'd crush and then you'd run away before they could do anything to you.
So,
and it's like, I like +1s that add to the ways that you can use an ability and encourage new play patterns with a god.
Give you another option,
forever,
right?
So I think this is a really good one. And if you also have a poly, then you know.
Then you're getting the extra bonus.
And maybe also a Hydras, and you know, then you just do it crazy.
Right, yeah. And yeah, exactly. So the max rank cooldown reset as well is baked into that +1. So you're only really getting this new max rank benefit of the Sentinel in Smite 2 if you're being aggressive. So just doubling down on that aggressively. But if you still want to use it defensively, of course you still can. It's still a very good tool for that.
Yeah. All right, and let's talk about the ultimate. I'm a monster.
Yeah, so the ultimate, again, a few shifts there. One of the shifts being in Smite 1, she would get that movement speed, 35%, but at max rank, it would actually double to 70%. With the 3 change, the 4 change, one of the things that we're trying to focus in on there is that Scylla has a lot of offensive potential, but she's also quite evasive, to be honest, with the previous Sentinel and I'm a Monster effects. So now we want to make sure that, at least in this small regard, we're kind of pulling away a little bit of that and trying to reintroduce a little bit more of that offense. One of the trade-offs as well that I didn't mention was that on the Crush, look at the new effects and the timer wheels and stuff like that. On the Crush, there was a previous 20%, I think, extra damage to minions and jungle monsters specifically that we added. We removed that component, so she's actually going to have a little bit of a tougher early game experience, but her mid to late game will feel a little bit stronger. And that's because one of the new effects for I'm a Monster is that throughout the game, and you can see baked into her passive meter there, she's actually gaining stacks, and she's gaining stacks by damaging enemy gods and extra stacks for killing enemy gods. Those stacks don't do anything until max rank of your they don't do anything ever, right? We just like an extra
stacking.
Just
everybody loves the stacking.
Yeah, exactly. No, at max rank of I'm a Monster, as its benefit, instead of the movement speed doubling, you'll actually be gaining bonus damage and bonus damage scaling, as you can see there, 5 per stack, which is actually not a lot, but the 0.02% per stack will add up for sure.
Oh yeah.
Technically infinitely, or to 999 for the most part, but that's going to be extremely unlikely. So you'll be gaining that bonus damage at the max rank. So that's level 20. You're not going to be gaining that stacking benefit you're doing throughout the game until your max rank. And in some games, you may not actually ever get there. So that's something to keep in mind. Yes, because it stacks quote unquote indefinitely, that could lead to some hilarious circumstances. I discussed this with ambassadors and internally to just, did we want a safety valve? Do we want diminishing returns? They said, nah, let's just have fun.
Let it rock.
So we're going to let it ride. If we start seeing her reliably getting to triple digits, which should be extremely unlikely, then I will be smacking down with the Nerf hammer. So, but not yet. Not yet.
Sweet. Well, that is Scylla in Smite 2. Again, lots of progress made on the visual effects and stuff since the flash test. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, there's still I think there's still a couple of things left, but for the most part, it's good.
And you know, good showing off. You know, you do still get the resets on the kills.
Yes.
You know, it's the arena pentakill god. One of the many. You know, is back and still as much fun as always. So she's been really fun in playtest. She's felt good, but not overly good, I would say. It depends on the playtest.
Yeah, it depends on the playtest. And I would say that feeling of, hey, wow, my early game is not so good, definitely exists. And then her late game, like, if a game goes to 35 minutes plus, you're going to see her still hitting like a truck. Like, I think that aim there does feel good, and I want to keep honing in on that because there's going to be a lot of players who go, oh, damn, I can't wave clear, or ooh, I can't even clear red buff by myself, or whatever it may be. That's kind of intentional. You shouldn't be an early and late game powerhouse. You're going to suffer there. Maybe shore that up a little bit with a Polynomicon early for the help with the jungle clear with the damage, or a Conduit Gem for your starter item to really help with that wave clear a little bit. Divine Ruin for that extra damage, right? There's options now to start shoring up those weaknesses, but you should feel that, and that's very much intentional.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited for folks to get their hands on Scylla in the Open Beta 11 update. I know lots of community members have been waiting for Scylla to come to Smite 2, so it's going to be super sick seeing people be able to play with her finally when she releases in the next update.
Gonna run through a few quick questions about Scylla before we move on, just because I think it's good to address a couple things. Does the bonus int percent scaling have an extra 0 in it? 0.02% is nothing.
I will double check. That does seem.
But I think you are getting stacks
When you're getting
quite
to,
regularly.
let's say 20 or 30, so it should, like, this isn't meant to double your Scylla ulti damage, but yeah, I can triple check the numbers.
Yeah. If the Scylla's 2 is out, does the 3 auto still reduce the cooldown, or do you need to have your crush
It
popped?
needs to be crush popped.
So it needs to be on
activated
cooldown.
Cool. Yes.
Okay.
Including your ulti, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, that's
Can
spicy.
you still explode your 2 after you're dead, or is that something you took away?
You can still explode your 2 after you're dead. I will say completely subjectively, I think that's nonsense, but that's fine. It's Smite 1 parity.
Yeah.
Awesome. And does her 3 give 2 polyprocs? No, it only give 1.
It only gives 1.
But you are also getting the damage from the 3.
Yes, exactly.
So,
yep.
Sweet. That's the main questions that popped up here. And I think we can move on to the next thing.
Cool. Let's get into her Ascension pass then, and we will show off the content for that. We've got Shadow Scylla. This screen is still temp. Of course, as you can see, we've got some Susanoo icons that are temp. The card effects aren't quite done yet, but we will show off the things that we can show off.
I'll note that Scylla's card art is actually being updated.
Yeah.
I think that the art team wanted to rework one of her recolor card arts from Smite 1 and turn that into the default because they thought it just worked better and was a better piece of art. So that's in progress right now and will be coming in sometime in the next day or two, I would assume.
All right, well, we got Shadow Scylla here, and then the tracker is Refire. Refire kills with the ultimate, I'm a monster. So, tried and true, that's a classic Scylla tracker there. You've got your Mastery emotes, her clap, your Objectives Destroyed tracker, your God Assist tracker. The second premium tracker for Scylla, though, is Triple Rooted. The number of times Scylla has rooted 3 or more
got a
gods.
typo there. That we
Easier
can
to say 2 Ps.
If we put 3 Ps,
I was just thinking that. If we had 3 Ps, that actually
should it be 3 or 1 P?
Right,
Chat,
yeah.
chat. 3 Ps or 1 P?
Yep. Next up, we have got Onyx Scylla. I love the black and gold. Oh, I love the textures on the dress here, too, as well. Looks super cool. We have got Opal as well.
Love the Opal.
I love
Looks
the
good
Opal.
for her.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. My gosh.
Her global emote is Confused. She whips an ult or something.
Oh my
She's
God.
like, I don't
Her
know.
little
I love the
deep
gaps in the teeth.
For all of them. They're adorable.
That's good.
That's
I like
really
that one.
good.
I want to use that.
You've got the wave. Her title is Deep Sea Horror. And then you've got the God Kills. I believe the badge is still in progress because the card artist, of course, is still temporary. But Radiant Scylla on the final,
nice.
the level 10
Man,
reward.
this always looks so
I like it.
That looks super sick. And then, of course, you'll get diamonds on this as well. The card effects aren't quite done yet.
Always the last thing to come in.
Always the last thing to come in. But yeah, that is Scylla in Smite 2 in Open Beta 11. So
Heck yeah.
I think moving along, we've got...
one thing to note, I
Tonti.
guess, because the players had mentioned it, and we are not going to be shipping the Scylla patch or OB11 with the Scylla aspect.
Yeah,
right?
that
is missing this time around. That being said, we have 2 other aspects in mind. And the Scylla aspect is currently cooking.
Yes.
And so I wouldn't expect it to be too much further. We can spoil a bit of it later on, maybe in one of the other future updates, but it is, I would say
Let's
that
let
it
it
should
cook
be
for
ready
just a little
in-
bit longer,
in,
yeah.
the patch afterwards.
But we do have 2 aspects.
Yeah,
including
that's
a
the next...
awaited
Clubs,
aspect.
you stole my segue.
Yeah, I wanted to give it the preface a little bit.
Oh, and somebody's
sure.
calling out the menu UI font. Yes, we did change the font for the words across the top. We felt like the font that we were using is a good accent font, but wasn't a great font for just like the core UI navigation across the top of the screen. So that was something else that changed in this update.
Cool. Well, let's start talking about aspects. And we've got 2 in this update.
Yes, we do
Scylla
have 2.
won't have one, but we've got one that the community's been asking about for a long time.
Yeah, we kind of prioritize.
And
We're
then
just like, it's
another one,
finally
which is
time.
Cool. Let's talk about Baron Samedi's aspect.
Baron
first.
Samedi has an aspect.
I am in PTS, so I'm not too scared about spoiling anything here. I will just
Only a
go
little
to-
bit scared.
Only a little bit. You know, every time I'm just like, what environment am I in? Aspect of
you gotta hide our
Hysteria.
cameras so
I
they
do
can
have
see
to
it,
hide
yeah.
the cameras.
Yes.
Doom.
So reading through this really quickly, aspect of Hysteria for Baron Samedi. Hysteria applied over max damage. Deals damage. Sorry, there we go. Overmax deals damage. Max Hysteria no longer reduces any damage. I'll go through all of these in a little bit more detail. Consigned Spirits only heals Baron Samedi now. Vivid Gaze bonus now grants Hysteria over time, but no debuff. Rapid Up Explosion and the damage over time apply bonus Hysteria, but the explosion no longer mesmerizes, and your personal brew can be thrown every 20 seconds. So, giving a little bit of an explanation about what that all means. Baron Samedi, he's had an interesting life cycle in Smite 1, but in Smite 2, he's actually been prioritized a little bit more, and his popularity and his win rate, everything, all of his stats and all of the kind of excitement around him has kind of leaned him to be more encouraged in the support role, in the Guardian roles.
Yep.
And that's completely okay. That's kind of by design. Baron can flex into the mage role or into that support role, and we're seeing a little bit more of that favorability as a support. Cool, awesome.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do here is just like, okay, well, if that's the case, let's give him a little bit more flexibility to push into that mage aspect.
Yeah.
And for the mage mains, I don't mean like myself, that's kind of super exciting. So Pawn was doing some cooking here. We had the previous Baron aspect, which we can talk about a little bit later, just a little bit, some notes there if we want. But in this case, going through all the different details, the idea is that you're basically given a trade-off of the rewards for being at max hysteria, and that's usually going to be a little bit more in that damage. So anytime an enemy reaches max hysteria, any further hysteria that you would be applying to them is converted basically just into damage and damage scaling. So what that really means is the more you're dealing damage to someone, the more you're keeping them there, the even more damage you're going to be doubling up onto them. So going back into things a little bit, Hysteria usually in Smite 2 would make the enemy who is at max Hysteria do less damage to Baron. That's no longer there. That's part of the trade-off.
A lot of the support aspects are just removed from the kit overall.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Consigned Spirits, which is that second ability, usually at high Hysteria, would heal all of your allies and everyone around, and provide them the movement speed buff. Now all of those bonuses are only being given to Baron himself. Let's see. Wrap It Up, the explosion would usually do a mesmerize, but that no longer happens, and instead it's one of the best mechanisms of actually applying Hysteria, and then anytime someone's at max Hysteria, again, you're going to be doing that bonus damage.
Yeah.
And then the first ability has kind of a Hysteria over time effect, but what that actually translates to is that if someone's at max Hysteria, they'll be gaining a damage over time instead.
Yeah.
Yep. So all of those components are kind of light, but when you put them together, you're leading just to more damage, more offensive capabilities, and slightly less utility and slightly less defensive capabilities.
Yeah. Yep. And then the other bit, did you talk about the brew?
Yeah, and so the last bit of that line is that your Baron's brew, for yourself only, your
Just
personal Baron's brew, can be thrown every 20 seconds. So what this means is that you will want to consume it first, but then you'll actually be able to gain that last consumable and to throw it at them, and you'll gain that back again every 20 seconds without having to go back to base. This does not mean that you get the healing of the consumable, like the multi-pod benefits of it. That is only the thrown components of it. So you can see right there, it's empty, and then after 20 seconds, I think that's that time.
Oh yeah, you see it
you'll
right
actually
here
get
on the
back again.
toolbar. Yeah.
Yep. Hey, so that's the way you retract the tool down there. This is an item you can't really do it the normal way, or it's consumable you can't really do it. See everyone getting hit at max hysteria, and then just taking a little bit more damage. So 6 extra damages. This little bonus.
Yep, and I can throw my brew again.
Whiff.
Yeah, I know. I
Also, because the brew applies Hysteria, it's also technically dealing more damage as well.
Oh, nice.
Every
that's cool.
component that you see Hysteria being added is just now converted to extra damage.
Sweet. Well, that is Baron's aspect. I know this is a little bit different from the aspect that we initially had planned.
Yes.
Clumsy. I know you hinted at maybe wanting to talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, so just some clarity on that one, that
process,
we're always cooking on different things, whether that's items, gods, or aspects, and we had one in mind for Baron. You know, we were just trying out a couple of different things. It went into a flash test because we forgot to turn it off, and we continued to forget to turn it off. But it was never the one that we were quite happy with. It was just one that we left to cook to see where we were going with it. It's one we always knew we wanted to come back to, but it effectively was a scrapped aspect. It wasn't one that we were looking to ship live, and so we wanted to come back. We just knew that, like, by putting that out there, like, teasing everyone's like, well, we know we might need to put a little bit of extra priority on focusing on Barons next, so that players don't just keep asking the same question, especially once we took it down from the flash tests. But it was just one that was always kind of left in the kitchen, and this is the one that emerged instead.
Sweet.
All right. Do ally brew throws also stack Hysteria?
Oh, that's a
I
good
just
question.
don't know how Baron works.
I believe it does.
Okay.
But it doesn't benefit any of them.
But they can
I
only
think
throw theirs once, correct?
Yes, exactly,
Only
yeah.
Baron can throw his every 20
Yes.
seconds.
Yep.
Oh, Rogue Link. All right. All right. Well, let's talk about Pele also getting an aspect.
Yes, Pele's
in
getting
this
an
update.
aspect.
Pele Aspect.
You
I
play
think
tested it
is
with it.
really good. When it's played against me, I lose, and when I play it, I win. So I think it's good.
Nice, cool.
But play tests are not always the best balance source because that's not necessarily what we're play testing for. But it is fun to both use and not to have used against you.
Yeah. So Pele's aspect is kind of a different gameplay flow revolving around her fuel mechanism. So I'll read it out loud first. Aspect of Obsidian. You only gain fuel from Pyroclast, which is that first ability, and when damaged by enemies, instead of naturally over time. Magma Rush, which is that third ability, can no longer be refired, but it now provides healing. And additionally, Everlasting Flame, which is her passive, now provides protections instead of strength and lifesteal. And finally, Volcanic Lightning, which is her ultimate, no longer has any strength scaling whatsoever. So the idea behind this is that usually Pele would be able to use her Magma Rush, and it would have its own kind of soft cooldown based on just time. It would just be, over time, you get some more of that fuel back. But now, by taking damage and by dealing damage with your Pyroclast, you're gaining charge of fuel, and the entire gimmick behind it is that when you're between 50 and 100 fuel, you'll be healing extra and dealing more damage in kind of that force amplified state, and then below that, you're going to be getting reduced in this benefit. So you can see right here, this is the new version of the 3, where it was amplified from 100 to 50, and then from 50 to 0 it wasn't. It's much more meaningful if you actually go ahead and hurt yourself, if you test effect damage, and you can see that the healing effects of it. The main goal
I need to get
here-
some fuel because I don't get it passively anymore.
Yes, exactly. So you can see you get a big burst on hitting any target with the first hit of Pyroclast, so you'll get 20 on hitting anyone, and then 1 on those returning shards. It doesn't matter if you hit gods, minions, or totems. But once you're above, from 50 to 100, you can actually see she gains higher ticks, and then below it you get less and less.
Nice, cool.
So the idea is that she's a little bit more sustain-oriented. It changes up her flow. It's pretty good in the solo lane. It's not bad in the jungle either. You're only reducing the scaling on your ultimate, and that's somewhere we're probably going to look at next. We need to reduce the scaling elsewhere. She still does a lot of chunking. I would expect to see her in this excel more in this solo lane. As a producer.
And the other thing is that, like, you do also refill more fuel when you're being damaged, right?
Yes, exactly.
So it does encourage you to build her a little more tanky to take advantage of the mechanic.
And you only get the fuel regain when you're damaged by enemy gods, correct?
No, by minions as well.
By minions
it's
as well.
a
Okay,
much
nice,
smaller amount, I believe. Lane minions should proc it, if I remember correctly. But gods will definitely proc it, and proc it more.
I have, though, while playing this aspect, been like, oh, I'm out of fuel. Now I'm just very slow to get to wherever I want to go.
Yes.
Yes, that's the thing, and that's very true. Is that, like, now when you're just like coming out of base, you don't really want to use it for just the movement speed because you won't have an easy way to get
Oh yeah,
back
that's
that
true.
fuel.
Until you get some points in your Pyroclast.
Yes, exactly.
Now, will I get fuel from Pyroclast hits on minions as
Yes.
well? Okay,
on,
nice.
On any target, you'll get a big burst of 20. So
Okay,
you can see
cool.
It's the 1 per tick, and so if you're taking damage and you're in the solo lane, you're doing stuff, you'll be getting a little bit of that natural gain.
Cool.
Returning back your Pyroclast obviously gives you the returning shards, or also give you a little bit. So figuring out how you're going to be gaining that fuel back is definitely the gameplay loop to play around it, because it is a good chunk of sustain, especially if you're kind of keeping above 50% fuel.
Right. Nice. Cool. Well, Kilgun said the Pele aspect is super good, so
It
we'll
has
see.
seemed good in playtests from my perspective. But again, like, our playtests are not really for balance most of the time. They're more trying to make sure that things are working properly.
Right.
And testing new features and that kind of thing. So sometimes things can seem OP or underpowered in our testing that it doesn't work that way once things go live. But we'll be keeping an eye on PTS, and very curious to see how people react to this when it goes live later today for flash
Yeah, I know. We're
testing.
going to flash test
nice.
hopefully right after
Sweet.
the show. I'll
Yeah.
have to double check with Kabir, but I believe that is the plan. So we talked about Scylla, we talked about Baron Aspect, and we talked about Pele Aspect. Shall we start talking about some skins and some content?
Nice.
Yeah, let's do it. So this is a bigger, basically like every fourth update, every 8 weeks, we're putting out a full Wandering Market, which follows the same plan as the prior 2 full Wandering Markets that we did. It's only 1,300 diamonds or 650 diamonds, 650 gems. It contains 4 new skins. The first page is free for everybody. You don't need to have bought anything to get the stuff off the first page. You just spend your coins to get it, and you earn coins just by playing the game. And we did add a thing where if you want to, you can buy coins now. But that's been in there for a little while. Not too many people are doing it. It wasn't really the goal of the system, but it was more just like some people were asking us if they wanted to, so we put it. So anyway, so this is called Spellbound Realms. And it's kind of 4 different kind of fantasy skins from different fantasy universes, I think is the best way to think about it. We have skins for Hunbats, Princess Bari, Merlin, and Bacchus.
Nice.
And we showed off the card art for 3 of the skins on Monday. Or no, on Friday. Sorry. Our last show, which was on Friday, because we didn't have a show on Monday because of the holiday.
Right.
And yeah, let's just go in and look at it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll bring up the handy dandy.
So we haven't shown off the bot skin, but here it is.
Oh my gosh.
The card art still is not done.
Yeah, card art's not done, but this is Arcane Ape. So this is a fabled skin, and we put a fabled skin on the first page of every one of these markets. And this is free. So everybody will just get this skin for free for 500 Wandering Market coins. So make sure you claim it and get your free Hunbat skin. It's really fun. I think it's a good skin.
Cool, and I figure we'll go through the pages and then we can show off a couple of these in game as well. But we've got the Arcane Ape Hunbat. We've got the Lily Pad Jump Stamp, kind of a teaser for one of the later skins in the Wandering Market. We've got Sword and the Lily Stone badge.
Are there 2 L's?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I'm pretty sure
I think it's just one
L for all of those.
Couple typos, we've got a classic announcer pack chest. More announcer packs are going to be in this update as well. That's
yes, there are 32 new announcer packs in this update.
Okay.
You've got the adventurer title here. Cute. And then Princess Bari gets a new tracker, Bells Rung. Total time that Bari has stunned gods with her bells.
That is so clever. The naming of that one, because it's like it's both ringing the bell and ringing the bell. I like it. Very smart. Very clever.
Sweet. So that is the first page. And again, Kilgun, as you mentioned, this page is free for anyone that wants to engage with the market.
One of the things that we did want to do too this time, you mentioned, is that there's this announcer pack chest on this page, right? And we really wanted to make sure that like everybody, even if you didn't have legacy gems, could get a free announcer pack, because we think it's just a fun piece of content that people would want to play around with. So so everybody now will get at least 1 free announcer pack, even if you didn't have any legacy gems.
Cool. All right, let's move on to page 2. And we've got Magic Mischief Merlin.
So this skin's really cool. It's
show me that cape. That's
right.
I love that cape.
Is sick on this one. Just like the depth in it is really neat. This one's more like a, I don't know, like kind of cartoony modern fantasy thing. And it's just really neat. And this one also, we are trying something a little different with this one. So there are also prisms available for this skin that are not in the Wandering Market.
Correct.
They're just, same way that you buy other prisms, you can buy prisms for this skin if you want to. So the skin is in the market. The prisms are an extra thing if you want them.
And we'll show off the prisms as we look towards going in game.
Yep.
But you've got diamonds on the page. You've got the Crystal Vessel badge.
Cool. Which is a reference to the Bari skin.
Yep.
Right.
And then you've got Shattered Shot Jump
that's
Stamp.
sick. I hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, that looks really cool. And then you've got the Dragon's Head Ward skin.
That's a cool ward.
Those are the dragons from the Merlin skin.
Yes.
So
because he has the actual dragons that pop out of the ground when he does his 2 in fire stance.
Yeah.
And that's what we took and turned into a ward skin.
And then you've also got an Ascension Pass token on this page.
And as a reminder, you get a free Ascension Pass with your Wandering Market.
Yeah.
And Ascension Pass is what? Like, I don't even remember how much we charge for it. But it's a lot by itself. Like, these are such a good deal. Please buy the Wandering Markets.
Next up, Shattered Vision, Princess Bari.
I like
looking
that a lot.
sick.
I love this skin. It's really sick. I have used this one in a few playtests. I think that like it's just very like fantasy style, fantasy fashion, you know?
Fantasy fashion.
I love her hat.
Yeah.
And like it's cool. Her bells turn into like crystals, and there's a lot of like crystal stuff in the FX. It's a neat skin.
You've got diamonds on this page as well. You've got the Book of Fantasy Rules badge. Bacchus has a new tracker on this page.
flop launches.
Belly flop launches. The number of times Bacchus has used belly flop to launch 3 or more gods into the air.
Okay.
Cool.
So you got to hit multiple targets there. And then let's see if this card effects is done.
Nope,
Nope, not
not
quite yet. We'll have card effects here, but I'm
This
super
is my
excited
favorite
for
jump
this jump
stamp that we have done.
It's
I
sick.
love this.
It is. Roll the dice.
Sick.
It's so good. I wonder if the numbers change every time. Oh my gosh, I think they do.
Yeah, I mean, it looks
they
different.
do. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah. So I think this is a really fun one. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Hard to tell.
Yeah.
Oh no, they do. They do.
Yeah,
we were just rolling the same
7,
number,
right?
A couple times. So I love this jump stamp. I have equipped this since we brought it into dev.
this
and
is
I think
great.
It's great.
All right, and then moving on to page 4, we've got Sir Crocus Bacchus.
gosh.
Dude, this skin is so cool. Like the
Yeah.
Frog Knight thing is kind of a trope.
He's got
a little humper
His
in the
name
back.
is Sir Honk-a-Lot.
Sir Honk-a-Lot.
So
Oh
Sir
my
Honk-a-Lot,
gosh.
we loved so much that we also turned him into a word skin. If you wanted to show that off real quick.
Oh, nice.
Yes, the rucksack
duck.
duck is his own little thing.
Yeah.
He's so good,
classic.
dude. This is we always try and put one legendary level skin into the Wandering Markets, which is kind of like a tier 4 in the old Smite 1 terminology. And this is the tier 4 level skin for this market. It's just really
good.
fun.
Yeah.
And I think that this market does a really good job of hitting on a bunch of different like interests and styles, and like no matter what motivates you for skins, like you cannot buy one skin for 1,300 diamonds,
Yeah.
and you're gonna get 4. Like I'm sorry, I'm overselling this thing, but like I
No,
just
it's
think that this
sick.
is like the coolest thing that we do
I
for
think
players.
and the theme hits so
it's
so well.
really good.
It's
so,
great.
Kellen says, don't forget to show the VXG. The VXG
Oh, yeah,
is
we'll
sick
go and
for
get
this
it.
skin.
Yeah.
So we will definitely go
Oh,
and
And,
get
and I
it.
believe he has a custom backing animation as
Nice.
well. So you've got the Rucksack Duck Ward skin, of course, 100 diamonds. Healing Magic Tracker for Merlin, the amount healed with Merlin's magic.
okay.
So that's good. You've got the classic skin chest, and then last but not least, you've got the Game Master.
Game
finally.
Master,
leaning into that
nice.
tabletop kind of
GM.
D&D fantasy style with the dice on the last page, and then that title here.
Yeah,
it's
so-
super cool.
You kind of glossed over it. Classic skin chest. Not only are there 4 skins in an Ascension Pass, you get a 5th skin with the classic skin chest. So it's pretty great. And I believe if you own everything in the classic skin chest, then you get legacy gems instead, equal to the cost of a roll. So you could go back and roll the classic skin chest again in the future. I believe that's how that works.
Yeah, that's sick. Sweet. Well, let's show off a couple of these in game. I'm just going to start with Bacchus just because I'm super excited about
the
that
Bacchus
skin.
is definitely the highlight, I
Yeah.
would say. I mean, they're all really cool, but this skin is pretty neat.
Yeah, this one is awesome. Here, I'll go here. There we
Nice.
You rock harder than a thwomp toad.
go. It's great. All right, let's here get some abilities. But first,
What?
around.
It's so good.
No way.
It's so good.
Okay.
It's great.
Just like
Sold.
frog hopping your way in the lane.
I
just
had
makes me so
no
happy
idea.
every time.
Oh, and if you go backwards, you can actually see. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look at
It's
the
real
little Sir
good.
Honk-a-Lot in the back. He's just like
His head's shaking,
The
man.
ride.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is great.
And he does have a custom backing animation as well, which
Oh my god.
It's great.
pretty good. So
Belly or blade?
Like
Oh
there are
my
skins
God.
that make me want to just play a character. And this is absolutely one
yeah,
of them.
it's a very cool skin. I think that like the team just did a great job. The team always does a great job.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but like I think that this is just a very cool skin that has a lot of extra stuff to it.
I
So-
love the little flies, and then the belt. You can see the flies. coming back
Yeah,
up.
all
It's-
the flies he's consuming when he backs.
Oh,
emerges
that's
out.
so good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this skin is amazing.
Yeah, really good skin. And dude, I just love the duck, man.
Yeah.
The voice back is also
Rock harder than a
silly,
thwomp toad.
but it's not like I feel like sometimes with these silly skin voice packs,
Marvelous.
we get into the realm of like annoying. And I think
Yeah.
that this one like walks the line where it's like I just want to laugh and I'm not like stop using your voice pack.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am the croaking greatest.
He's got a little lisp. It's great.
It's so good. Can you basic attack? Can we show people?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, looks
like
good.
a trail.
Yeah, the sword looks nice.
Yeah, this one looks
some bubble
sick.
And if you're out of combat and you jump, it's just like a regular jump, I'm assuming.
No.
Yeah, but it looks good.
Boing.
Can you jump with the special emote going?
Ooh, let's
I don't
see
know.
here.
That's
That maybe not. No jumping.
Yeah, he's already jumping.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
Pat's just asking questions.
No,
I'm
for
just
sure.
passing along.
That would be.
Yeah,
no,
he
I think
just goes back into his regular.
Very
jump.
cool skin. I love Sir Honk a lot. I love Sir Crocus. I think there's just a lot of little extras in this skin.
Yeah.
Wait, it's Sir
really
Honk a lot as well. They're on the equal level. Shouldn't he
Yeah.
be like Squire Honk a lot?
I'm pretty sure we just named him Sir Honk a lot.
Yeah.
But,
Incoming valor!
when you jump,
On the charge!
see Sir Honk a lot.
Oh, it's actually in the voice pack.
Yeah, no, it's really neat.
Yeah, this is
It's
great.
like proper canon.
As you jump, he honks. It's so good. It's just so good.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this skin is sick.
Great job,
Oh,
Kellen.
man.
What the heck?
it's really it's a cool skin, and I hope everybody thinks it's as cool as I think it is.
Yeah.
Do we want to go in and look at any of the other ones?
Yeah. Well, we still have to show off the Merlin
we
prism.
do have to look at the Merlin prisms,
And then we should show off the Princess Bari one as
yeah,
well.
we can just take a look at it.
Yes.
And then we still have balance to go through.
Yeah, I
We-
know, right?
No one
I
cares.
told
No
you
one's
it's
here
gonna
for
be
balance.
a big
There's
show
one
today.
person in chat complaining we're spending too much
Yeah,
time on
sorry.
skins, so we should do balance, but
All right, cool. So this is Magic Mischief Merlin, and then he's got a prism, Flamekeeper.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love these capes and I love the material
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
all this stuff.
it's really cool.
And then we've got
Not like I'm biased or anything.
Green
Damn.
Emerald
okay.
Sage. Oh,
Emerald
I'm
Sage,
digging
there
this
you
one.
go.
I like the Flamekeeper better, but if you're a green person, this could work for you.
And then last but not least, Glimmermancer.
Oh, cool.
I
love
like
these
this
names.
one. This is kind of like a paladin mage kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like
Almost
it.
like the radiant version of this skin.
Yeah, this is sick. All right, and let me go to Princess Bari really quick. We should show off this one in game just because she looks so cool.
Yeah, I like this skin a lot.
And 20, reduce cooldowns. And here we go.
Yeah, look, the fan.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, so
Love the-
crystals
Nice.
instead of the bells, which are kind of neat. The effects are nice. They sound really good, I think. The
So zippy. I like
yeah, I think that the basic attacks on this skin feel better than base Bari basic attacks. I think they're really good to see and shoot. Obviously, we don't try and make skins like pay to win or anything, but like I just like the way they turned out, and they're easier for me to play the character. So
that. That's so pretty.
yeah, I think this skin just looks really nice and it plays really well. And yeah, hopefully everybody else thinks it's really cool.
This one looks great.
Like do you notice that even like your little ghosty is now like a diamond
Oh,
ghosty?
yeah.
Like just lots of little touches in this.
Sir Ghosty now.
Sir Ghosty. Everyone is just getting.
Everyone's getting knighted.
All right, so
That's
that
gorgeous.
is a Shattered Vision.
Yeah.
Princess Bari.
Yeah, really cool skin.
Let's see. What else
The
do I have
gem
on
is
my list?
rolling. That's true. Gems don't roll like that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. We actually talked about like should we change the shape to be more like a D12 or something, so it'd be more
my
obvious.
God.
But then we're like,
fine.
it's
It's a
okay.
magic gem. It'll be
We have
okay.
also got
Soul
Soul Piercer Achilles as a
Okay.
classic skin in this update.
This skin looks
Wait.
great.
And he has prisms as well.
Yeah, so this skin, classic skin, available for 100% legacy gems, and will be in the classic skin chest if you want to buy it that way.
Yep. And then prisms, Veil Strider.
Nice.
Got
This
some green
one
accents and hits.
Is very sick. And I will probably buy this one.
Yeah, this one is looking like a night elf there. It's
Yeah,
great.
that's right.
Frigid Warden.
Ooh, okay,
this
wait a
one's great.
second.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
And then last but not least, for prisms, Golden Wrath.
Nice.
Soul
Oh,
Piercer.
dude, it's like
Damn,
it's
they're all
like,
good.
Like gold is like coming out of his skin or something.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty sick.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the finished version of that one. That's really neat.
Sweet. And then I think that is basically it for skins. We do have a cross-gen skin. Wraith Rider Guan Yu is coming in this update as a cross-gen skin. He's not quite ready. He's T-posed right now. If you hop into PTS, he'll probably still be T-posed, but we won't show him off today. And then I think that is everything I had on my list for skins, unless you had something, Kilgoon.
I think that's pretty much it. I was just gonna say Wraith Rider Guan Yu again is a cross-gen skin. So if you
Yes.
own it in Smite 1, you'll just get it in Smite 2. And if not, then you can buy it in Smite 2 for 50% legacy gems, 50% diamonds.
Sweet. Well, that is everything that I had for in-game content. Clumsy, are you ready to talk about balance?
What? There's more?
There's more? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, we missed the show on Monday. We got to pack this show with lots of stuff, you know? Sweet. Well, I will bring up the handy-dandy balance doc, and we'll kick it off with items up first. So Clumsy, talk to us about what's going on just in general with balance. It's going to be a little bit of a lighter update, right, with everything that's happened over the past 3 updates.
Yeah, I feel like with the item specialization pass kind of reached its culmination and stuff. It's what we kind of talked about before, which is we're pretty happy with the general state of the game with roles and items. Obviously, there's going to be some extraneous circumstances. There's going to be some things that need to be buffed up, some things need to be nerfed down. But for the general state, and we're seeing that, with the community talking about it as well. We're seeing that with the content creators. Before there's kind of this roller coaster of emotions. Now we're kind of just like, okay, wait, this is not bad. Like we're in a state where things starting to feel a little bit healthier, and that's the goal. So now it's kind of just like it's always this is a live service game. Things are going to be in and out of meta, but also there's going to be things that just kind of fall between the cracks, and we're going to make sure that we hit those every single time. So you're going to see some things here that go like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, and then you're going to see some things here that like, I kind of forgot about that item. Well, that's kind of why that they're on here too.
Cool. All right. Well, let's kick it off with Blood-Soaked Shroud. We're going to be increasing the max health and increasing the healing obtained from hitting enemy gods.
Yeah, Blood-Soaked Shroud, one of the worst starter upgrades that exists. So if you were purchasing it previously and you liked it, that's cool. That's great because everyone has their own playstyles. I'm not saying that it's not viable. When I say worst, by the way, sometimes, and because I like saying the funny things, but I want to make sure that we're serious about things. We're not saying it's like a 10% win rate or anything like that. It just was one of the lowest ones, and it's one we haven't addressed in a little while. We didn't address Vamp Shroud because Vamp Shroud's actually doing okay. But this is where it's like once you got from Vamp Shroud to Blood-Soaked Shroud, it wasn't giving you the payoff that other starter upgrades were going to. So this is more in line.
We do have 2 Blood Dash word items. This is not Bloodbound Book. This is Blood-Soaked Shroud.
Yes.
Bloodbound Book is very good and would not be being bought.
Yes, this is the starter upgrade. Next up, just a small note on Contagion. This item had its max health increased from 400 to 500.
Yeah.
This buff was already live.
So this is one where we brought it in, then we PTS nerfed it, and then we buffed it back in between PTS and live at some point, and then it just got lost in between the cracks.
Yeah.
This is actually a healthier spot for it because looking at its stats and how people have been purchasing it, it's been slightly lackluster. But now with this in mind and people hopefully purchasing it more, we'll get a better sense of what we need to do next if it needs further buffs.
Yeah. Next up, Doom Orb. We're going to be decreasing the buff duration from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. Stacks are now removed one at a time rather than all together.
With the split of Gem of Focus and Doom Orb, people are mentioning that Doom Orb has kind of like lost its purpose a little bit. That being said, it's always meant to be one of the premier and high intelligence items. It just gives you one of the most intelligence. But one of the things that was limiting that is kind of just the variance when you were in lane or in jungle at all versus when you're in the middle of team fights. And when you're in the middle of team fights and the stacks were being removed after 15 seconds, or if you're just kind of watching each other with fire channel, whatever it may be, you lose that altogether, and that just feels kind of rough. So we have this, I say it's new tech, it's just tech that we don't use very often, where stacks can actually fall off one at a time. So now the duration as a whole is lower, but if you have more than one stack, you're getting a higher uptime than ever before. So this is going to last actually quite a long time, just a little bit deprecating one at a time.
Cool. Next up, Death Metal. We're going to be decreasing the cost and the cooldown on this item.
We did the item specialization pass. That being said, there are still some items that have not really found their spot in the sun. This is one where we thought the cost was definitely one of the biggest prohibitors. We still like where it is. We don't like its specialization. We just need to make sure that its efficiency for where it's at is brought back in line a little bit better.
Yeah. All right, next up, Hide of the Nemean Lion. The active Reflect is now 50% effective against abilities.
Yeah, this is an item that people are talking about a lot. People complain that
it's good versus everything.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
In a world where we're trying to have specialized items,
exactly.
A thing that's just good against everything is kind of not what the point of it was, right?
Yeah, because the goal for Hide of the Nemean Lion is not to just be good at basic attack carries, which one would say that'd probably be the most prominent thing, but it was just there to help give you a burst of time for a short duration where you can actually feel like you're a little bit tankier because of the way that you're mitigating that by being offensive almost at the same time, right? It's a focused period of time where you're stronger. That being said, for attack damage carries, for basic attackers effectively, you can stop basic attacking.
Yeah.
But if you're an ability user and you have abilities that are on the ground, if you have whirlpools or cuckoo tornadoes or forbid a kraken on the way or cuckoo ultimate going on the way, someone can just kind of walk in front of it and use this item and it's okay. We like that. That's why we didn't say it's 100% reduced, but that's just a little bit too strong for moments where we don't want it to be that strong against.
Cool. Serrated Edge up next, just increasing the strength per stack from 10 to 15.
Yes, exactly. So, some items that you're going to see, we just wanted to give them a little bit of a bump up. This is, this isn't bad. You're getting 15 extra strength because it has 3 stacks. Once you have, all 3 stacks on board with your cooldowns of your abilities, you're going to see a few more of those kind of just interspersed between things.
Stone of Binding up next, decreasing the threshold to apply a bonus stack from 150 prots to 120.
With all the protections that were reduced a little bit, this one just needs to come down as well, just kind of meet that new threshold, similar to Prophetic Cloak from before.
All right, Tekko Kage, just a straight up strength buff from 40 to 50.
Yes, just another one of there. I saw some people in the chat just talking about the Nemean. Yeah, I think Nemean doesn't do 100% reflect, so I think it was maybe 50% reflect, so now it's 25%. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's 50% of what the basic attack amount was already before. Yes, Sekukage, just a little bit of a buff there. It just, it had that change with the momentum on its passive, and it had to shift before. We're just making this a little bit more of the strength premier item. It has a difference between this one and Gem of Focus anyways, so this is the slightly more luxury item with a slightly more luxury cost.
Yeah. All right, and God Balance up next. Athena up first. Shield Wall, we're going to be decreasing the cooldown, and then Defender of Olympus, we're increasing the shield max health scaling from 12.5 to 15%.
Yeah, Shield Wall, Athena as a whole has kind of been struggling for a little while now. Her cooldowns have always been on the longer side, and that's something that we saw in previous buffs. We've kind of hit that as well, but it's not really been addressing her as much as we'd like. We want to be careful of her taunt because that's one of the strongest CC effects, almost basically in the game. So we wanted to reduce this a little bit because this also helps her on offensive capabilities as well. It's not just going to be on the defensive capabilities. Defender of Olympus, we changed that cooldown a little while back, but now with a lot of the counter shielding options that are in the game, we thought this would be a good opportunity to play around with this a little bit more, to let this be slightly stronger, so that way maybe it might encourage others to counter build against her.
Just build a shield splitter and steal it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Shield Splitter, Erosion's in the game now. That went live on Monday. So yeah, lots of anti-shield options. Ares up next on our God Balance list. Searing Flesh, we're going to be increasing the damage per tick. And then No Escape, we're going to be increasing the initial damage.
Yeah, just a little bit of simple love here for Ares. I think the more important one almost, well, the Searing Flesh is going to be incredibly important because it's going to be per tick. It's going to be happening. Your wave clear is going to be happening all the time. Obviously the counter there is if you can stun or CC Ares out of it, that'd be great. But No Escape is kind of one that I want to, highlight as well a little bit more, because this damage is split into 2 compared to what it was in Smite 1. So now you have that initial damage when you lock on for No Escape, but then you also have that slam damage, which, if you can get that off, that's great. But if you're getting the beads and the CC immunity, it's a little bit harder. So now you're getting a little bit of that upfront damage, just a little bit increased ahead of time.
Yeah. Hecate up next on our God Balance list. Repel Magic, we're going to be increasing the magical shield health. And then Open the Gates, just increasing the damage on the ultimate.
Yeah, so Repel Magic is going to be focused more on the early game. So you can see it's a 20 shield health buff at the early game, but it scales the exact same amount. It being a magical shield means it's not efficient all the time, right? If the jungler's ganking in their physical base, you're basically getting no benefit from it there. But we want to make sure that you actually feel like you're getting a strong benefit early game, especially when you're not maybe maxing it as much as you would another ability. So giving you a little bit of love there. Open the Gates. You'd be surprised at how much this ability is actually missed, or even that being said, 2 large circles, you think it wouldn't be possible, but it definitely is. And that's because people are kind of aware about how Hecates are getting used to it, especially now that she's been out in the game a while.
Right.
The surprise factor is a lot less. That being said, even if you are hitting the ultimate, you're probably getting CC immune, or the enemy's using a movement ability to get out of the actual stun and teleport. So now let the damage hit at least a little bit harder. It's not the scaling right now. We might address that next, but we want to make sure, let's just see how this feels on the base damage first.
Yeah. All right, up next we've got Nemesis, Divine Judgment, the ultimate. We're going to be increasing the damage on the ability.
Yep, this one I think actually brings back it for it to match Smite 1 in its parity numbers.
Okay, cool.
Nemesis has been doing okay, depending on where kind of she is in the meta. You start seeing a little bit less. Obviously, she's actually being affected by the shields, the anti-shield options as well. But bringing this back to parity a little bit and just kind of assessing from there. Nemesis is definitely one of those characters that kind of lives or dies just on a very fine edge. As soon as she's a little bit strong, you start to see a lot of her. We've also done a lot of cleanup for her with her shield and I think her in-hand attacks afterwards. I know there's something going around with her dashes and in-hands as well. So we're going to be keeping an eye on all of those things to make sure we kind of polish that up. But regardless of those, because sometimes we might do those before we do a buff, she needed kind of the extra love too.
Yeah. All right, next up, Thanatos, and I believe last up. So Death Scythe, going to be increasing the bonus damage dealt to gods, increasing the strength scaling, and then Scent of Death, we're going to be increasing the low health bonus damage.
Yeah, that bonus damage, especially at low amounts, doesn't actually really attribute to much. So just even the flat, while it sounds like it's a 10% increase at rank 1, you're actually not really gaining this all the time because it's low health benefit. And at that point, they're almost probably already dead anyways. This kind of just helps almost those mid-game ranks of it a little bit more. Otherwise, Thanatos just hasn't been hitting nearly as hard, and his stats have reflected it. We're just not seeing him kind of budge, especially with some of the previous buffs we've given him. We want to be very careful because Thanatos can very well be a bit of a pub stop character. We're definitely not unaware of that, but he's well below those lines still. And as you can see here, there's no shifts alongside like this versus the Aspect. He's just getting an overall buff because him and the Aspect are doing not so great right now.
Sweet. Well, that is it for balance. As of right now, we're still working to complete the patch. There very well could be some additional changes that pop in, post flash test in between now and the actual update going live on Monday. But that is everything as of right now that we had to talk about for the update. Kilgoon, anything else on your list that you wanted to talk about?
The only other thing I have is that there is a Father's Day event.
Oh, yeah. Let me see if
I don't know if we can pull it up, but it's just another fun little event to do to honor the fathers out there.
Yeah, it's here. 1 second. Bring up the handy dandy laptop here. The cam so people can see the page. So yeah, you get a little #1 dad badge for completing these quests.
I'm gonna rock that one.
There you go. Yeah.
And it's play 10 games with either Nordic or Greek gods. It's pretty straightforward.
Cool.
So should be fun and exciting that we have a little something for Father's Day.
Yeah.
Maybe not as big of a holiday as Mother's Day.
Yeah.
But still nice to celebrate.
Still important, you know. Sweet.
So just to recap, we have a new god.
Yes,
we have
Scylla.
2 new aspects. We have a wandering market. We have a ton of balance. We have Father's Day event. We've got what else? There's a classic skin. There's a cross-gen skin. There's quite a bit of stuff in this update. I would say it's maybe some of the past few updates were like absolutely massive with tons of stuff. A lot of the effort in Wandering Market patches goes into producing the Wandering Market because that's just a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of content,
But I think it's another really strong patch when you consider it's been 2 weeks since the last time we updated, and we're just continuing to make the game better. There's also some other kind of more minor stuff that maybe didn't make patch notes that's probably in there that you'll see. But I think the game just keeps getting better, and I'm excited for this patch, and I'm excited for some of the stuff in the next patch. And I think it's going well.
It's going to be really, really awesome.
Oh, there's 32 announcer packs.
Oh, yeah, more announcer packs, Lots of stuff. Well, we have maybe about 10-ish minutes. We got through everything with a little bit of time to spare. So maybe we all want to take a question before we call it. And
I wanted to give a small bullet points on something that's on the patch notes that we didn't talk about that I think that's also in the hotfix, because someone was mentioning like Kali, and I just want to remind people that there are hotfixes that we do in between the patches. So if you missed that, I know Kali was in that one as well. But one of the things that was inside that one as well was the Sunbeam Bow nerf to structures.
Yeah.
And something that's going to be coming up in this one, because I know there's a lot of discussion on backdooring and stuff like that, is that, so there's 2 things. One, I'm not sure if it went into the hotfix or not. And I don't see it on the patch notes, but I know that it's in, or that it's like hotfix live. So I want to double check on that one. But the Gold Fury Gilded buff that it provides, I think on the 3rd kill, which does bonus damage to structures, was too high. I think at 50% instead of the intended 25%, and the damage that it provided, which I think was like extra damage based on the damage that you deal, was applying to item procs, and because of that, it was causing items like Sunbeam Bow to do even further damage to structures than we would have wanted to. Yeah. So that has been fixed, as well as the nerf to Sunbeam Bow, as well as there's going to be a change on the patch notes as well, where the Titan will now cleave familiars as they do with minions currently, and deal extra damage to familiars too. Yeah. So things like the Titan getting Nagas to be tanked for, like that will be much more diminished in the coming patch as well.
Yep.
We're going to take small steps at a time there, because we know that there are actively strategies that are potentially overly strong, especially at certain skill levels, but we want to make sure that we don't completely eliminate anything either. So one step at a time.
Cool. Sweet. Well, let's get into it. Let's see if I can find a couple good questions before we close the show and get ready for the flash test for Open Beta 11 this afternoon.
Yeah, should be on basically when this show is over. Check out the flash test.
Nice.
And you can check all this stuff out.
Sexy Magikarp says, Clumsy, are we getting Smite Cart 2 this update? Man,
wish.
You buy those prisms and then maybe we can get us. Maybe we can get on it faster.
Question about tree changes. We had talked about potentially changing the trees in Conquest. We started on that project, and we weren't happy with how it was going. So we are kind of debating right now whether to keep going in this direction and further update that version of trees, or to take a different approach or prioritize something else first. It had some pros, but it also had some cons, and we just weren't pleased with how it came out. So we're still working through the best path forward there.
Clumsy, this is going to be probably more directed towards you. Sorry if I'm putting you on the spot.
Hope it's not the one question that I've...
Uh-oh, no.
No. Okay, go ahead.
I've just seen a couple people ask just about the state of crit. And
okay,
how are you feeling about that? The question was, why no crit nerfs? Yeah.
So crits, sure, it's one could say that it's strong right now. That being said, it's always really interesting, especially having seen this cycle in Smite 1 for over 10 years now, of just like tank strong, crit strong, mage burst damage strong. There's almost always going to be one of those complained about no matter what. Sure, crit could potentially be nerfed maybe a little bit. We're going to have a look at that if we want to or not. We're not oblivious to the fact that people are talking about crit right now. That being said, we don't want to just gut reflex nerf it immediately, because like I said, we're actually generally pretty happy with the state of where things are right now. Maybe there needs to be more options against crit, or maybe there needs to be certain crit items that needs to be reduced in their efficacy a little bit. That being said, Nemean, as we were talking about, is quite good. Try and pick that up a little bit more. We buffed Pharaoh's Curse. There's items that kind of counter crit in different ways that I think are pretty important too. We want to have a look at spectral armor as well. That's kind of on our list of things to do too. But yeah, I would say that we think crit may be slightly strong, but it's not nearly as... We don't believe it's nearly as overpowered as we're seeing others see. We're not seeing like Hunter stats go up like crazy. Even if you want to talk about the data side of things, we're not seeing the ambassadors or like even social media. Like it's not nearly as prevalent as when we have seen before, where crit is just like when crit strong's like, oh shit, like everywhere's pointing at crit being broken. Yeah. Let's reflexively hotfix this now, right?
Cool. There's a question from Girl Guan Wild, which is funny. Which is change the wards back to when they had a timer on them. This is on our to-do list, is adding timers back to wards. And also in Smite 1, the wards flash on your mini-map as they're about to expire. That is on our to-do list. It's not our super top UI priority, but in the next month or two, I would assume we'll probably get to that level. Yeah.
So we did hit Agni with an aspect nerf, I believe, in the hotfix as well. I think he got an aspect nerf as well as a general Agni nerf, because he was on the stronger side for both. I know people are like, oh, why'd you nerf Agni's non-aspects? Because actually he was one of the best mages right now, just in general, with aspect and without aspect. So he, again, have a look at those hotfix notes. He did get a nerf. Could he use more of a nerf? Probably. I think it's... I would like to believe that most people would want us to balance them almost not necessarily softly, but in a degree that we believe they need to be needed, rather than just like gut nerf them to the ground and then work their way up. Because frankly, that's actually incredibly hard. Usually when you over nerf a god, getting them back to a state where people even recognize them again is incredibly tough. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We did do nerfs, and we will continue to do nerfs if necessary. That's it. Completely okay with pulling out that nerf hammer.
Is Ganesha going to be on for PTS? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
That's a good question. Yeah. We'll have to see when you log into PTS. Yeah. Are you still on PTS? Is he listed in the God list?
His coming soon page is there.
Maybe not then? I don't know.
Not his actual God page, no.
He's still got some work, guys.
He does. We aren't ready to talk about any gods beyond Ganesh. Once we get to Ganesh, we'll probably talk about the next couple gods. I think that in general, we want to make sure that we're giving you a little bit of a roadmap of where we're going, but we want to keep it a little bit shorter than in the past, because we just want to leave ourselves a little bit more flexibility to address things as they come up and change the order around, and not feel like we're disappointing people when we make a decision that we think is ultimately for the best of the game. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and address one of the elephants in the room that I'm actually not seeing as much right now.
Is it Ganesh?
Nice. Whether y'all like to hear this or not right now, we are fine with the state of Blink in its existence right now, and that's because we have a plan that we want to start looking into. Yes, that's right. We're doing the preamp to the preamp because we know the desires. We have ideas of a plan that we are going to be looking into. Ideas of a plan that we're looking into for the future. there's a lot of an echo chamber when it comes to Combat Blink, and whether people love it and people hate it. And we pulled it out for a reason, and we're going to look at healthier ways to bring back effects like that, or the effect itself. It's just not going to come into this patch, nor is it coming into the next patch. Yeah. It's something that we are thinking about, and we're not going to remove it from our brains, because that would be an injustice for you all as well. Like, we understand that there's a desire for it. We just don't think the way that it was implemented previously is the correct way. So we'll keep that in mind, and we're going to see what we can do to kind of find the best of both worlds.
Cool.
Question: Win 5v5 tournament. We are supporting SMITE Prime tournaments right now.
Yeah.
So if you want to play in a 5v5 tournament, SMITE Prime is live now, or the next one's about to start soon. And it's really fun. It's the winning teams are usually pretty darn good, but you can get into it without being one of the best teams. So I think it's good for where we are as a game right now. And we'll keep growing, hopefully.
Cool. As soon as I said that, you're seeing the other half of the people agreeing that Combat Blink was frustrating. So again, like opinions tend to cause an echo chamber in social media, whether that's in Twitch chats, whether that's in content creator chats, or wherever that may be. So like, when I want to say trust us, I really do mean it in this case.
Cool. All right. Well, we are super close to 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
so
damn.
let's do one more question. And then we'll wrap it up and start the flash test for Open Beta 11.
While we're waiting for some questions, Alani check. I have a cherry twist today.
I have an orange kiss today.
I was drinking some lemon lift tea.
Oh, there you go.
Sounds
Clumsy's
nice.
got the double bev going on.
And I'm really hoping that my lunch is here.
Yeah.
So
you haven't had a
I'm
chance
so
to
hungry.
eat.
I'm not eating yet. Announcer pack list. Do we have a list on the patch notes?
Blake was going to work on getting me a list.
I'll pick a question that I can actually answer. This.
Smite card quip win.
Smite cart quip win.
Yeah, it's just me going Smite card.
Yeah. Well, we are. I think there might be some new quips coming in a couple patches. We're talking about doing kind of like a seasonal, like kind of Independence Day bundle with a bunch of themed stuff that might have some quips as part of it. It's not 100% sure that that's going to happen, but something we're working towards.
Wait, that's so true. It's not exactly what they were saying at all. But now that we do the teleporter effects, can one of them just be a cart?
Talk to Brett.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude. Let's go. Let's see. I got to choose a question. Are we settled on keeping the assault map layout this way?
I think we are happy with it for the moment. Is it permanent? I think that we probably could drop the dev test language from it, because I think from what I recall, none of the temp.
Yeah, I think it's all arted out.
I think it's arted now, so I think we probably could drop that. But I think that there may be some more things we want to do with it in the future, but I think we feel like it's in a much better state than it was, and probably not actively experimenting on it right now. Kind of moved on to focus on some other things. Then I have to pick a question, don't I, still? Let's see. Dude, we play tested some good stuff today. I'm excited for next patch.
Nice.
And I want to share details about it, but I can't because it's not done yet, and I don't know for sure that it's going to be in the next patch.
I'm going to hold on to this. Okay, so I can go ahead, because I didn't answer a real question.
Yeah.
Will we have items like Relic Dagger in the future, or matching items that stack off of each other and give bonus effects when you have complete set? So we've tossed around ideas like, one items like Relic Dagger itself, yeah, that's definitely possible. We definitely have some ideas for items like that. But going to your second point of items that kind of have bonus effects when you have a complete set, we like ideas like that, and right now one could argue like that's there in a soft manner in things like whether it's Prophetic Cloak or Book of Thoth, where you're not getting a complete set, but you're getting benefits for getting multiple protections or mana or cooldown rate or whatever it may be. We aren't against items that play off of each other more directly, but one of the concerns with that usually is that if you just, let's say you have a two item set. If you have one of the items of the item set, does that item feel good enough by itself? The opposite is, if you get the double item set, are those now better than two normal items put together, and therefore do you always feel like you're required to get those in every single game that you play those characters in? So there's a delicate balance, and honestly, you kind of see that in other games that have sets. Is like whenever there tends to be a set bonus, whether that's in ARPGs or even MMOs, those tend to be the meta items, or they're just never used at all, because them being a set usually means that their power has to be just that much better than anything else. So again, we're not against it. I think there's something really cool about those ideas too, but we just want to be careful how we do it, and we'd also want to make sure that if we don't just do it like for 2 items for a mage or something like that, that'd be kind of less exciting. We'd probably want to batch them out maybe for 2 rolls or 3 rolls, or if we even go that far.
I'm going to take two. One of them is really quick, though, and it's Athena's taunt duration was reduced by 25% in SMITE 2, but the delay before her 3 refires stayed at 2 seconds. Did we consider reducing the delay to help her combo feel more like SMITE 1? I think that's an interesting note that I had not personally thought about.
Are you asking me that?
I'm asking you that.
I completely blanked.
So basically, her taunt doesn't last as long as it did in SMITE 1.
Yes, correct.
But the delay before her 3 refires is the same timing as it was before. So it's harder to taunt and keep somebody in the 3 so that it explodes. We should think about that. That's all I got to say. The other one that I had, somebody, I got to find the thing. Can newer, simple gods like Ixchel be ported soon? The team mentioned new gods not having enough of a fan base to be worth releasing so soon, but if they're released late, then the cycle will just repeat. So I will say we aren't always, we aren't just prioritizing old gods. And I think that as the year progresses, you will see more newer gods from SMITE 2 or SMITE 1 come over to SMITE 2. Really, a lot of the reason why we prioritize gods has a lot to do with like technical, like building out core systems and like making sure that we have the parts and pieces to be able to make gods and whatnot. And a lot of newer gods do have more complicated kits. Ixchel in particular, it definitely isn't that she wasn't popular. I think it's just like there are so many mages that it's hard to prioritize which mages need to come over first. And when we're missing some kind of really, really iconic mages, I think that we're probably going to prioritize those really, really iconic mages before we get some of the more fringe picks. Yeah. Ixchel is incredibly fun to play. One of my favorite SMITE 1 gods. Clumsy's making weird faces.
Someone's trying to get me to blink for information.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Now I need to count my blinks for the rest of the thing.
Yeah. So I think that there's it's definitely not saying that we're not going to do any of the newer gods. It's just saying we needed to do the groundwork with some of the older gods, and we want to make sure that like if somebody is like really, really an obvious miss, we want to do as much as we can to get them in sooner, unless there's some technical reason that, you know, it makes more sense to do them later. So that's a little bit of an overview on how we pick gods. You know, again, we aren't going to give you a super long roadmap anymore just because we think it's better to be able to be a little flexible. But we're definitely not just doing old gods. We're trying to mix things up a little bit.
Yep.
So.
Sweet. Well, Kilgoon, Clumsy, thanks so much for joining me on the show. Lots of awesome stuff in Open Beta 11 that players are going to be able to look forward to when it releases on Monday. But we should have a flash test right after this show.
I was going to say, go flash
keep
test.
an eye out on our official social media channels, on our official Discords for news when servers are up. And we will be back on Friday for another edition of Titan Talk. But until then, hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and I hope everyone has a great time in the OB11 flash test when that launches a little bit later this afternoon. Until then, we will see you all on the battleground. Peace.